What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio, checking in with the latest and greatest on the Rambling with Rio Robinson YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. Your boy Fan Ambassador Rio checking in, and it's Thursday, June 23rd, and we've reached the dog days of summer. You know, the ones I was telling you about where, the NBA ends. There's not much going on in football, and we're in that gray area in between mini camp and training camp, and we're there now. We're about a month away from Washington Commanders camp starting, about a month and 4 days, actually. So we're getting closer, but we're not there yet. And right now, all there really is to talk about is the off-the-field antics, theatrics, and incessant drama that plagues this team and has plagued this team throughout my duration of my fanhood here. But before we get to it, this episode and all episodes are brought to you by at Washington on the Daily on Instagram and BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Make sure you give my guy Ray a follow at Washington on the Daily on Instagram. That's at WSH on the Daily. And if you're going to do your betting, get your Calvin Ridley on BetUS Sportsbook and Casino using my unique link in the description below. But let's get to it. Yesterday, they have this House Insight. The Congress held the House Insight hearing about Dan Snyder and the toxic workplace culture for the Washington Redskins football team Commanders yesterday. Of course, the dweeb didn't show up. He was subpoenaed to, and he was also subpoenaed to appear next week. But we know he's on his yacht in the Mediterranean somewhere, watching IMAX movies on his yacht that he probably cannot actually afford, because Dan's always gonna duck the smoke. So he had Roger there taking the bullets for him, falling on the sword. They were asking Goodell all these questions like, can you remove Snyder? And his answer:
we have been open and direct about the fact that the workplace culture at the Commanders was not only unprofessional, but toxic for far too long.
Will you remove him?
I don't have the authority to remove him.
I do not have the authority to do so. He gave the whole spiel about how there has to be 24 of 32 owners who have to vote on it. And, Roger, as soon as they start asking about that Wilkinson report and how they talk about how they've seen it and they won't be releasing it to the public, it was like he was like an anime villain. He was just dodging questions left and right. You know what's going on here, man. This is about optics. They're not going to remove Snyder. They're not going to punish Snyder. And he's already said, we fined the team $10 million. So this is all semantics and optics at this point, which sucks for the actual victims and the women who have real stories to tell about the bullshit that they endured in their time in Washington. But nothing further is going to be done to Dan Snyder. Nothing further. And what I thought was interesting, and I'm glad Ron did this, Ron made sure he got a tweet out yesterday that said, my thoughts. He made sure to let people know, y'all hear all these accusations, all this wild talk of sexual misconduct and shit. Just so you know, this predates me and this predates my regime. I have nothing to do with this nonsense.
How would you describe the culture surrounding this football team?
The culture is actually damn good.
He made sure he got that memo. I was like, look, bro, we hired Jason Wright, and we got rid of all of the nasty boys, except for the one that you can't get away from, the one that owns the team. Pretty much said we got rid of all the nasty boys and all the people who were exhibiting this conduct that's being alleged, and which is probably true, because I can definitely see it. Yesterday, somebody released some audio of Mr. Skin Tangibles, Larry Michael, being a nasty man, talking about one of the interns. So I can just imagine the frat boy style organizational mood, setting, vibe that was just always around in the organization. But Ron made it clear. I was hired here on January 2nd, 2020. I believe that was the date. And Since then, we've implemented a whole new policy of stuff. We hired all the right people. Jason Wright was not hired because he was a minority. He's hired for his expertise in the time and work that he put in with McKinsey and Company, one of the biggest law firms in the country. And they've been working tirelessly to do two things because the Snyders said they hired him to do two things: get back to winning and change the culture. I think the culture, regardless of if you want to believe it or not, the culture is changing. There is a brotherhood, bonding, family environment that's coming to the team. We haven't got the results yet. That's why he said change the culture, check. But winning, we're working on it. We're in year 3 now. We're going to get into the football stuff later, but the changing the culture part of it, like, I love the culture they're building here. The people that are behind the scenes doing the work, the fan engagement, things have been night and day what they were before. And like Tailgate Ted said on Twitter yesterday, do not hold the current regime responsible. Do not kill them for the sins of their predecessors, the people that came before them, because that is unfair. And all of that predates Jason Wright, Ron, Joey, and the people that they have now, Julie, everybody. And it's more than just a diversity thing. Oh, we want a minority coach. We want a minority this. We want someone from the LGBT community. We want a woman run. It's more than, they chose the right people to put in these places and positions of power, and they've been acting on it. Have we seen the results yet as far as winning? No. We did get a fluke divisional crown out of it, but we haven't seen the results on that aspect yet. But just an example of how the culture has changed here. I don't know if you guys seen our starting left tackle, Charles Leno, was out of state taking care of something back in Texas, and his wife ended up going into labor. And Chase Rouillet and his teammates, I think Andrew Norwell and his wife and his teammates came in and helped his wife deliver the baby and all that stuff. Like, that's brotherhood type shit. Guys that just got here are already buying into it. It's a brotherhood, family type environment here. And no matter how negatively you feel about the new name of the team, the rebrand, and all of that shit, the culture is definitely improved drastically here. Now we need to see results on the field. But that's all I got right now. Shout out to Riverboat Ron for making sure that people don't get his name messed up and linked to any of this bullshit that predated his tenure here. He made sure to let it be known, listen, bro, me and Jason were hired here to clean this shit up. I was not a part of that. So I respect that. And you know how news comes in twos here. As this oversight thing and this Dan being subpoenaed thing, as it worsens, if it gets to a different height, you know what's coming next. The Terry deal. The Terry McLaurin contract. I'm pretty sure they have the parameters of the deal done, but the way news drops in twos here, bad and good, we always play the deflect game here in Washington. So I imagine whatever the next allegation or next part of this on-site committee that's testing Dan Snyder, whenever the next thing that comes out that's really bad, that's going to take headlines up, expect the Terry deal to immediately coincide and headbutt with it to try to play the deflect and distract game, because that's how we do things here. And we know Terry's going to get his bag before we open camp in July 27th. But that's all I got for right now. I should have some more content coming out for y'all soon, some creative stuff, some stuff to try to keep y'all engaged during this weak time of the offseason where there's no sports taking place, but we are almost there. Keep taking command. Hail into the Washington Commanders. Your boy Rio. Out.